Kia ora, I'm Brenda Tahi. I'm the CEO of Manawa Honey NZ and joining you here at my office at Mātātua in Ruatāhuna in the heart of the Urewera. I want to share with you today our win in the 10th Black Jar International Honey Tasting Contest that was held in Asheville, USA, that's in North Carolina in the United States, earlier this year. This is an incredible win because it's a contest that takes in hundreds of entries, over 600 entries from countries all across the globe. And it's been running for 10 years, this contest. It's been growing each year. And so we just had a go at this contest, and we found out in June 2021 that we were the overall winners with our Rewarewa Honey, and that 2 of our other honeys got into the final as well. So it was just an incredible result. We were just totally gobsmacked when we got this email, and we're still celebrating, having a great time. Okay, so I want to tell you a bit about how we got into the contest and how the contest works, because it's a special kind of contest. And you might be intrigued by the name Black Jar. Yeah, so it's a different kind of contest. And yeah, and the results and what we're going to do next. So kia ora tātou. Okay, so things started for us last year in regard to this competition. We were struck by COVID last year when New Zealand closed its borders. A lot of our honey in New Zealand in supermarkets and in tourist outlets, it was being bought by tourists, visitors to New Zealand, who were taking the honey home or sending it home for themselves and their friends and families. So all of this came to a halt when we went into lockdown in April 2020. Okay, things totally slumped, the sales that we had in supermarkets, and we had to think about what could we do to lift our business, and what could we do to prepare for our recovery when we got back into our normal trading, if we could ever get back to normal trading. So this was about positioning, and we thought about how we could enhance our brand and give our customers, and particularly potentially new customers, assurance on the quality of our honeys. And so we did some research on the different honey competitions that are run throughout different parts of the world. And last year, because of COVID, all of the competitions were actually cancelled. And so we thought, well, we'll just have to wait until 2021. But one of the contests is this contest, and it's an international contest. And there is another international contest, or another 2 really, and one is the London Honey Awards, and the other is Epimondia. And we will come back to you on those other awards, which we will enter when they come to pass. And but the first one, international award, that was being considered as we were coming out of COVID last year, was the Black Jar International Honey Tasting Contest. As I said, that's held in the USA. Okay, so they took entries up to the end of December 2020, and so it was at the end of last year that we put together jars of each of our honeys, our Manuka honey, our Rewarewa honey, our Tāwari honey, and our Puatane wild forest honey. Okay, so those were all sent over as entries, and the organisers of the contest were pretty excited about us entering, because they hadn't had entries from New Zealand before, although they have entries, hundreds of entries from across the rest of the world. So for us, this contest is really special. There's 3 reasons why we think it's particularly interesting to go into. One, it was coming up first, so and that it's international. So there are contests that are local here in New Zealand, and there's also contests in Australia and in America, but not all of them extend beyond their localities. And so we were interested in putting our honey up against the best in the world. And so this contest was certainly attractive from that perspective. Secondly, this contest focuses solely on taste. And most contests in the world, you have to put your honey through different kinds of tests. And the colour of the honey is assessed, the clarity of the honey, all kinds of things come into the final decisions, the presence of enzymes in your honey, with the pollen in your honey, so it can go on. So we found this contest particularly interesting because it is all about blind tasting, and it is all about just the taste. It doesn't take any of these other factors into account. And we think that this distills the honey down to its essence, that is, its taste from where it's been produced. The third thing about this contest is it's run by an organisation that we think does an admirable job. Now, this organisation is the Centre for Honeybee Research, and they're established there in Asheville in North Carolina, USA, because in the US in particular there's a major problem with the survival of bees. Now, we know that we need bees for the pollination of food production and the flowers for all kinds of things in our ecosystems, but bees are not surviving well in the US and in other parts of the world, and it's not really clear why they don't survive through the winters like they used to. And some say it's sprays, some say it's diseases, some say it's a combination of all of these things, and that the environment is degrading in such a way that bees cannot survive in the way in which they have done for millennia in the past. So this centre focuses on research to help identify what are the issues with bees and to assist in the survival of bees for the future. So with this contest, what happens is all the entries are in by the end of December. So that happened in December 2020 for this year's contest. And that's the middle of the winter in North Carolina. And in the spring, they start judging. So there's at least 5 judges for this taste testing. And what happens with the jar of honey is they put a black cloth bag around it so that the judges cannot see what's in the jar, the colour of the honey. They cannot see a brand, obviously. These are all in jars that are sealed in a way in which they cannot identify who's made the honey, where it's come from, or any of the details about the honey. All it has is a code number on it. And they are served the honey in this tasting process. They're not allowed to handle the jar, so there's a black stick or straw that's used for actually picking up some of the honey, so that they actually can't even identify the colour of the honey, and they can only identify the texture of the honey when it gets into their mouth. So they're not allowed to discuss their results or say anything. Once they have tasted the honey, they just record their result or their score. So this process goes on and on with just over 600 entries over a period of months, so that gradually they weed out or eliminate most of the entries, and the top 30 are left for the final. Then in the final, they decide the category winners, and they do a tasting in the blind, the way in which it's normally done, with the black jar covered, and then they do the tasting, and then they decide the category winners. So, and then they do the final tasting to get the grand first prize winner of the overall contest. So this is the process that our honeys went through, and in the final, we got Ruatāhuna, which is our incredible honey from Ohio Te Rangi in the headwaters of the Whakatane River, and it's a wild forest honey. It's a reflection of the bounty of the god of the forest. It's got a whole range of types of floral sources that give us this honey from the forest here in Te Urewera, and it made the final in the category Far World. Now, okay, we're in Asheville, USA, and where do they think New Zealand and Australia are? We're in the far world, and that's how we're categorised. And we got to the final. There were 3 honeys that got to the final, and Ruatāhuna was one of them. That is for the far world category. Right. Here's the other one that got to the final, was our Tāwari honey, which is a honey that comes from a beautiful white flower on the Tāwari tree that stands in, great groves of this tree up on the ridges of our mountains here in Te Urewera. And this is a really light honey, a monofloral that we presented for this competition, and it got to the final again in the category Far World. And then we also got Rewarewa to the final, and it got to the final and won the category for creamed honey, actually. And so this is our 3rd honey that we got to the top. And Rewarewa comes from the New Zealand honeysuckle tree, and this tree gives us copious amounts of nectar when it's got a good flow. And normally it's pollinated by birds, so it gives a lot of nectar, and it's got a really unusual deep red flower, and from that we get this delicious honey that was won the category of creamed honey, and then ultimately came out as the overall grand first prize winner. Okay, we're just so excited about this honey. It's proven now through the result that we've got in this honey tasting contest with honeys from all across the world, but it's also got great properties, and it comes out one of the highest honeys for its content of antioxidant. So you'll be familiar with vitamin C as an antioxidant. That's really good for clearing free radicals from your body, while Rewarewa honey is as good as or better than vitamin C in this respect. So this is something that we really want to celebrate and get to know more about with this really special honey. And we also know that it's got really strong anti-inflammatory properties, and we're looking at researching that further and how that can help human health. Okay, so Rewarewa honey, the winner, and such a special honey. So you might have a question about what happened to Manuka. Okay, Manuka, which we're so proud of, it's an incredible honey, and it has won awards for us in other circumstances. But this is a honey tasting contest, and I guess, Manuka's a very special honey. It's got incredible properties. People are using it all over the world, for their good health, and because they have developed a palate for this honey. But it's got a really earthy taste, a kind of medicinal taste, reflecting those properties, and because of that, it's never really going to win a honey tasting contest. So in this contest, Manuka was out the door. pretty early on. Yeah, we find a contest like this that focuses on taste is a real celebration of the provenance of honey. So what's the provenance of honey? Yeah, it's about you know, the taste of the honey and the texture of the honey, and how that comes from is driven by a range of factors in the environment where it's produced. When we go back to the soils, the land, the forest, the vegetation, the plants, the trees, the flowers themselves, this is all provenance, all in combination with what's happening in a particular place that gives us a particular taste and a particular texture for a honey that you're not going to get anywhere else. And this is why we're particularly proud of our honeys here from Urewera, this great forest in which we live. It gives us honeys that are balanced and come through in a certain way that reflects, I guess, the Māori, or the essence of the forest in which the honey's produced. We think that this contest can certainly be said to be a real celebration of the diversity of tastes of honey that come from different parts of the world, and we love being part of it. So one of the things about this contest that we really love as well is that the name of the winner, or that goes on this trophy, is going to be the name of our chief beekeeper, Heke Noa o Tāwi Te Kurapa. And some of you will know him. He's also one of our trustees or directors with Manawa Honey. And he has built the beekeeping team over time for Manawa Honey. Yep, we think that he should certainly be celebrated in this contest, and look forward to seeing his name carved on that beautiful trophy that they're holding over there in Asheville, USA. We think that celebrating the beekeepers is a good thing, because sometimes the beekeepers who do all the hard work alongside the bees to produce the honey can actually be kind of hidden a bit behind the brand name, and this brings them to the fore, and we certainly celebrate it. So kia ora, heke noa. Okay, so you might ask, what next for Manawa Honey? And we've been thinking about it. We're going to enter in these other contests, and hopefully we'll be doing more videos explaining that we've got some really good awards from these contests in the future. So hope to see you back here. We'll be busy promoting our win in this international honey tasting contest, and so if you've got any ideas on how we might promote that, you just let us know. We're really open to ideas and want to join with partners and people all across the world to celebrate what we've achieved here. Yeah, so finally, we would like to thank everybody that supported us, our customers out there, people who have helped us over the years as we've been establishing this business here in Ruatāhuna. We set this business up to develop our people and to make good use of our land resource in a way that's sustainable for future generations. And we've been able to set up some meaningful careers for our beekeepers and our marketing team, and our office support and food production. So this is all really exciting for us here in Ruatāhuna. We're just a small community in the middle of a forest. Te Urewera, that's a huge forest, 200,000 hectares. You can read about our story or hear about it in our other videos. So yeah, so we're really keen if you could like and share what we're doing here, help us celebrate across the world what we've achieved, and the celebration of this contest. So kia ora tātou, that's greetings and thanks to all of you.